think empathy would be one of the things that I would love to see, the message that would resonate, and that everybody actually not think about themselves and think about what life is like for others. And if everybody was a little bit more empathetic, I think the world would be a much happier place.
Hi, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what drives them. The optimism, idealism, patience, and courage, these are their attributes that we want to bring to life in our conversations with them. So if you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. What's
Hi, good
going
morning,
on?
Sabrina. How are you?
Good afternoon. This is
Good afternoon.
yeah. Usually we do these in the morning, and now we're doing it in the afternoon.
I kind of like it. It's more
Yeah.
sunny. Yeah.
Well, not here. It's raining.
Hmm. Do you
Nap
have,
weather.
Sabrina? Are you superstitious? Do you have like a routine that you do before the pod? I don't know, you put the perfume spray or you shower. Is there something that you do before each episode?
No, no, but I should. I should come up with something. I did
Hmm.
start. Oh, I should have brought it. I did start holding like a pyrite stone. Um, Sometimes during the day. It's supposed to give you like strong will, make you feel stronger about your day. Um, and I have some superstitions, but not
Yeah.
before the show. Do you?
Yeah, I grab a Coke Zero and a chocolate before every episode.
And what if we do it really early in the morning? Same?
Probably. Yeah. I just get up
Mhm.
earlier. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have
I
your
was talking.
zero and a chocolate.
Yeah, yeah, correct. I was talking a couple hours ago to a friend of mine in India who I didn't meet when I was there in January. And he said, "Hey, I saw a couple of links of your podcast. And I really like the fact that you guys are not talking to celebrities and that you're talking to everyday Joes and, Harrys
Mhm.
about the show and, hearing the stories of these people that nobody else knows." I was like, it's not because we're not trying. We would love to get the famous
I know,
celebrities on the pod.
the same thing. I'm like, I mean, the goal is if we could have a big, celebrity
Yeah,
who's South Asian on today,
yeah.
we would do that.
It took him back. He thought
Yeah,
we were purposely going after these people, and I'm like that it's easy to get these celebrities. I just found it funny. It happened to me today. I want to share that with you.
that's hilarious.
Um, Sabrina, today I wanted to not play a game, but just discuss something. This whole Ambani wedding is still in my head,
Oh
and
boy. Okay.
a couple weeks ago we discussed things that only happen in America, and I thought a wedding like this, I've not seen it anywhere else in the world. I thought
Okay.
this is such an Indian thing, and I
Hmm.
thought, what else happens or do we see only in India? So
Okay.
I've listed a few of my favorite things, and I wanted to just you know, riff them out with you.
Sure.
Yeah. So first one, first of all, the wedding. Indian weddings, 3 days. I believe other cultures also have 3 day celebrations, but I feel the amount we spend and
Hmm.
slash show off in our weddings, we are the leaders in the world in that,
Yeah,
and I kind of like it because,
for
like you said,
fun.
yeah, fun, and that's where we meet. I think I met my wife in a wedding,
Okay.
so for
It's a
me
good
that's
place
a plus.
for a family to get together after a long time.
Yeah, I think they're great.
Yeah.
And another thing that happens in India, which I find very extreme, especially if you look at Ambani's, Antila $1 billion building,
Yeah.
is literally the next road next to where Ambani lives is like full of slums,
Hmm.
and they have these walls, and the walls have painted pictures of gods and deities. Is it
Okay.
deities or deities?
I say deity.
Deities, yeah.
Potato,
And
potato.
yeah, and the reason is because, as you know, a large percentage of Indians don't have toilets.
Yeah.
So they're doing number one and number two in the streets, and for them to discourage doing number one, they don't want them to do number one on the face of a from from a god, obviously from a respect and faith perspective, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah. Hey, go back to the wedding one. You know what reminds me is when I've gone to India for weddings. You never see this here. In India, they light up the house, right? They put like
Yeah, like
light
Diwali.
colors. It's like, yeah. And I've told friends here that they do that, and they're like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the Americans do that for Christmas, right?
yeah, but that's Christmas, not a wedding, right?
Yeah, that's true as well.
It's a
Yeah.
religious thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that I thought was remarkable. Have you been to the Taj Mahal?
No, I'm the only, well, Naima and I are the only one from our family that haven't
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, because I remember everyone told me, the Eiffel Tower is one of these wonders of the world. You should go see it. And I went to Paris many years ago and I saw it and I looked at it and I thought, ugly. I mean, I just thought this piece of metal, it didn't
That
strike,
was
it
my
didn't
first
strike a chord.
impression.
Yeah, I thought it was ugly. Like,
Yeah. It's
the
changed
Empire
for,
State Building, like 100 other buildings are prettier than the Eiffel Tower. Anyway, but when I saw the Taj Mahal,
yeah,
the fact that it's a grave, a tombstone, whatever you want to call it, is irrespective. It is just beautiful,
magnificent. Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful. And what I find about India, like I just mentioned, you have a billionaire, and next to that, you have people who are painting a wall so they don't urinate. The same thing when you walk into the Taj Mahal. Did you know there's a discrimination of rates for foreigners versus local Indians?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, yeah. Most people don't know this. This is funny. I went 15 years ago,
Okay.
and I just went on Google to check, and it's still more or less the same. A local Indian pays 45 rupees, which is
Okay.
about it's two quarters, 50 cents,
Okay. Oh, wow.
right?
Okay.
And a foreigner or an NRI like you and I, we
Yeah.
pay $12 or
Wow.
1,000 plus rupees, right?
Okay.
So when I went with Deepak and Bharat and our mutual friends, they told me, Amit, so Deepak walked in, paid 45 rupees, Bharat walked in, paid 45 rupees, and they told me they always ask three questions, right? To make sure that if you're Indian or not. Who's the prime minister? What's the name of the anthem? Basic questions.
Yeah.
So I passed by and I'm wearing my Real Madrid jersey, neon, whatever, cap.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at me ups and down and he says something. I have no idea what he says because he said it so fast.
Yeah.
And then Bharat does this, like question two. And I don't remember which was question one, two, and three. So basically, apparently, like he asked me the name of a national anthem, and I said like Prime Minister, blah blah blah. Um, so basically, I paid the full fare. Is moral of the story.
Were you
But
trying
it's
to
just
sneak, were you trying to sneak in paying the
this was 15 years ago.
I don't
Yeah,
care. It's 50 cents.
no, every dollar counted back then. I was a student or something. Anyway, it just goes to show that I thought it was quite funny.
Okay, before you go next, I have one for you.
Go for it.
Um, so, I see old pictures of my dad with a mustache, and he doesn't have one anymore. I think he looks so much younger. And, you see still a lot of Indian men with mustaches. And I was shocked to learn that police officers in India get paid a little bit more if they have a mustache because it's a sign of respect. Like, I've never heard that. That
Till,
is,
till today or back in the day?
no, I think it's till today. Maybe I should look
Yeah,
that up, but it seemed
yeah.
recent to me.
Did you know? I'm not surprised. Did you know PDA is illegal in India?
See, I was wondering, is it still, I mean, the Bollywood movies still show physical affection, and I mean, not
I'm
that
not sure in Bombay, but if you
like
kiss a
villages.
girl in Bangalore
Uh-huh.
in public and you show a bit of tongue, I think if they don't take you to jail, they're beating the shit out of you.
What if you're a foreigner? Do you know the answer to that?
I think
Like if you're,
foreigners are allowed. I don't know. But it just, I mean, it goes to show when you first go to India, when I was there 15 years ago for the first time, or whatever it was, 20 years ago, you go around in the streets and you have these guys, they hold their hands together.
Mhm.
The men hold hands,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you're thinking, okay, they're not gay, they're just straight friends. They're holding hands, sign of affection, respect, whatever it is. But then you can't make out with your partner of the opposite sex.
yeah.
So again, India is full of extremes. I just find it incredible.
The hand holding has always been of men has always been humorous to Noel. I mean, he was born in India, but he didn't grow up there.
Did you know that if you take a train in India, there are carriages for men and there are carriages only for women?
No, I've been on trains in India. I've never seen that.
Really? Oh, most of the trains now, the women are in their separate compartments and men are in their separate compartments. The woman can go in a men's compartment as well, because
Mm-hmm.
it's unisex. But most women now, for safety, they go
For
on their women's continent.
safety, really?
Yeah, because the men get, touchy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
there are first class trains as well, where the ticket is a bit more expensive. But I don't know if there's a first class woman or a first class men, or the first class is unisex. But again, it's just something that you don't see trains by sex in other countries, do you?
Yeah, when you first said that, I was like, well, we're moving backwards in India if they have women's only and men's only, but now it makes sense for safety issues.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Another thing, obviously, our cows are sacred, in the Hindus,
Hmm.
right? So when you go in the streets, you see cows all over the streets, uh, and it's just first time you see that when you're driving in Bombay and you have to stop, and no one's pushing the cows because the
Yeah,
cows are not touched. They're
yeah,
so respected. It's just for a stranger or someone new in India. It's kind of a fun thing to
yeah,
watch. Um,
definitely.
Another thing I found something unusual about India is that over a third of Indians are vegetarians,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Between 30-40%. I don't know the stat, right?
You
It keeps
found that to
changing.
be, you thought that was unusual, like too high?
It's unusual because no other country in the world has
Hmm.
over, like Mexico has 19%.
Yeah,
America's is between 5 and 8, right? So I find it kind of unusual that such a big country has
yeah.
over a third of the people that are vegetarian.
Hmm. And a
Yeah.
lot of it's religious, most of it, if anything, I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else do you find interesting about India?
Um, the Indian housewife, the average Indian housewife, has a total of 11% of the world's total gold,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Indians buy a lot of gold. Yeah.
Yes. And this 11% is more than combined stock of the US, Switzerland, Germany, and the IMF. I mean,
Yeah. Especially Diwali time,
oh,
before
yeah.
Diwali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wedding
Staggering.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Hmm.
I didn't know, but the Indians actually are the ones who invented chess.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
I knew
And
they
plastic
invented pi
surgery.
and maths and all that stuff, but not chess.
Okay. Did you read that they invented plastic surgery as well in India?
I read that as well. Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I also read that India is one of the few countries, together with Japan, that's never invaded another country.
Oh,
Yeah. Can't say that about your country, Sabrina.
yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, we didn't state it, but we all know Bollywood's bigger than Hollywood in terms
Yeah,
of number of movies they make. I don't know in terms of gross receipts, probably not because Hollywood blockbusters are,
yeah,
worldwide success stories. But
right.
uh, yeah, I just, and obviously cricket is not something we've mentioned. Everybody knows India, America has football, basketball, baseball, four sports. India only has one, the almighty cricket.
Yeah. So, the Cricket World Cup is in the partly in the US this coming summer.
It is?
Yes, I know there was a World Cup last year, but my dad said, because I asked him, I said, didn't the World Cup just pass? And he said, there's another World Cup for a
Wow.
different league. I don't know. I don't know
Must
much
be the
about it.
sponsors, right? Paying for that? Or
I have no
TV?
idea, but some of the matches are in Texas. I believe near Dallas, and whew, I mean, I couldn't even get tickets when they went on sale.
Watch out, Taylor Swift. She's got competition.
All right. Well, anything else
Let's
to talk about only in
no,
India?
let's bring on the brother-in-law of my sister-in-law.
The brother-in-law of my sister-in-law. All right. Only in India we
Yeah.
describe people that way.
Is there like a nephew niece? Is there like something for brother-in-law of sister-in-law?
don't think so.
No?
Or we say my cousin.
Distant
We call
cousin?
everyone my cousin.
Third cousin?
Yeah. Or just your cousin. Just bring it.
Yeah.
Let's bring on your cousin now.
Yeah, let's bring him on. I've never actually met him, so it'd be great to meet him. Sabrina, did I mention to you that Rahul is the brother-in-law of my sister-in-law?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So, Amit, right?
Amit. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Amit with an H.
Okay, Amit with an H. Yes. Wait, did I get it right? Amit with an H is your brother.
My brother-in-law, my wife's brother.
Brother-in-law.
Wife's
Yeah.
brother. Okay,
Yep.
got it. Oh wow, small world, huh?
Yeah.
I know, it's
Sabrina,
crazy.
where's your suit today?
No suit. I that's the reason I don't practice anymore.
Got it.
I love it. I
But you
love
look
it.
sharp. You know what's funny
Oh,
is I was telling a friend no, my cousin just went to DC and went to the Capitol building and got to go with a staffer underground and do all that. And I was telling her after law school, I worked on Capitol Hill and I was so excited to wear suits and heels, and that got boring fast for
That didn't
me.
last much. Yeah. Rahul, Sabrina and I were just discussing in the intro
yeah.
um, the beauty and the opposite of beauty in India. You know, that India has fame and it has rich people and poor people, the extremes of India. And when was the last time you went to India, Rahul?
Right before the pandemic, so probably 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We keep trying to schedule our next winter trip there. Smitha's parents go there for about 4 or 5 months out of the year. And so from November to April or November to February, somewhere in that time range. So we're always trying to coordinate a trip with them.
Yeah. I'm surprised we've
Yeah.
never met.
I know, I am too. So it'll happen. It'll happen
Oh,
soon.
and that's because your sister-in-law, Amitu, got married online during COVID, right?
She did. She
Correct. That's
did.
I
why there was no
remember
wedding.
seeing pictures of that.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they got COVID.
And then they got
So
COVID after.
yeah,
The
so at
irony.
the I
Yeah.
know. So at the ceremony, everything was fine, and then we had a virtual reception, and poor Shilpa she had COVID, so she was out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
Well,
gosh.
now that we've
Yeah.
seen the big wedding, the pre-wedding of the Ambanis, we can now have a celebration of that level.
Yeah,
That'll be fun.
exactly.
That'll be fun.
Exactly.
I'm excited to have Rahul Ravipudi. He is a partner at Panish Shea Ravipudi LLP and has spent his legal career handling catastrophic injury and wrongful death cases involving commercial vehicles, construction accidents, dangerous conditions of public and private property, as well as cases of sexual abuse and sexual assault. He received his law degree in 1999 from Loyola Law School, and through his work, he has obtained numerous 8, 9, and 10-figure awards for his clients. His success for his clients has led to many personal recognition awards. I will mention just a few from 2023. Top 100 Lawyers in California in the Daily Journal, Law Dragon 500 Leading Plaintiffs Consumer Lawyers, and Lawyer of the Year in Mass Tort Litigation and Class Actions. So, welcome. We're excited to talk to you today. And in our introduction, we were talking about things about only in India. And before we started recording, there's something that I know someone is from LA. This is you're from LA when you say the 405. You said your office is next to the 405. And I have a friend here too. She's always like, oh, I'm going to get on the 1604. And I said, we're in Texas. We don't say the. Just say 1604. So that's funny. That's such an LA thing.
That is. That is. I keep forgetting that too, but I mean, I think it deserves it, the 405, and if you've been on it, it really deserves more than just that name. It should be some negative words associated with it.
That's so true with that traffic. Well, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey Rahul, how you doing?
Good to see you, cousin.
You know, I stopped in the intro when Sabrina said 10-figure award. Like, what's a 10-figure award? How many billion is that? How many million? Is that 100 million?
No,
We
it's
don't do
over a
public maths
billion.
here.
Over
Over
a
a
billion.
billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's should we start there, Sabrina? I want to hear more about that.
Yeah. I mean, well, first I wanted to let's let's start with what even inspired you to become an attorney and then to go into personal injury. Tell us
So,
about
yeah, becoming a lawyer is something I always credit my mom for. So we don't have any lawyers in our family, or at least when I was a kid, we did not. I now have some cousins that are lawyers. But at that time, both my parents were in the engineering profession. My dad, a PhD chemical engineer, and my mom got her master's in nuclear physics and in environmental engineering. And my brother's a doctor, so I'm the least educated person in my family by a lot. But when we were younger, at the dinner table, my mom would always tell me about what she was working on. And at the time I remember it, she was working at the California Energy Commission and doing regulatory work. And basically, all of the oil refineries and rigs that were outside in the Pacific Ocean on the coast of California, she would go to those places and then she would cite them, these big oil companies, for all the violations.
that.
And then she'd have to meet with all the lawyers in the office. And so you have all these people in big suits looking at this 5 foot nothing woman and saying, "Hey, you can't fine us this much. We're the oil companies." And she's tough. And so she would argue with them and she'd lay it down. And at the end of the day, they had to see it her way. And that um, dialogue between her and all of those lawyers and the way that she advocated for the state of California was inspiring to me. It didn't make me want to become an engineer, but it did make me want to become an advocate. And so in high school, I'd already decided I wanted to go to law school with the thought that I was going to become an environmental engineer, an environmental lawyer, because I didn't know anything else. And so then when I graduated college, I went straight to law school. And when I was in law school, I started learning about all the other areas of practice. And I went to law school in 1996. And before I applied, by the way, my parents were not happy I was applying to law school. You know, that's
Really?
not a science based profession, and there's no reliability or consistency in such a profession in their minds. And so they're like, look, the legal profession is terrible. Look at the cover of Newsweek magazine. There's the guy from UCLA graduating from the law school holding a sign saying, "I'll work for food." This is not a good idea. And so going in and going into law school when there were no jobs available, probably very, I wasn't playing the long game at that point, um, or the short game. And so I just applied to any summer jobs I could find. And so the first one I got was actually at the Ventura District Attorney's office. And there they actually let me try cases. And so I got to, try very sophisticated criminal cases. I've got 100% conviction record on fishing without a license cases. And so, that's where I started and I got exposed in the courtroom. I thought it was fun. And then one of my buddies calls me up from my first year law school section. He says, "Hey, I'm working at this firm in Santa Monica.
Okay.
The partner, his law clerk, just left to go start his career and he needs a new one. Like, get over here right now. You want to do this." So I just drove over there, didn't even have an interview or anything, just had my resume in my hand. And my buddy got me an interview with this partner.
You already had
His name,
graduated law school?
no, I was in my second year.
Your second year. Okay.
So yeah,
So
second
how
year
old
of
is
law
that?
school. That is whatever, 1990, 97. It was in 1997. So I was 20
Early 20s.
lows. Yeah. And so then that's my first exposure to personal injury. It was a big plaintiff personal injury firm. My partner, Brian
Okay.
Panish, was there at the time. I didn't know what personal injury work was. And they started telling me this lawyer, Jeff Wells, who's an amazing guy. He goes, "Hey, so here's the types of people I get to represent, and I get to choose who I get to represent. And I represent people that have been hurt in the most dire circumstances by corporate negligence." And he started telling me about some of the cases, and it blew my mind.
Mhm.
And he kind of looked at me, he saw my big eyes, and he goes, "So are you interested in helping me?" I thought, I can't even imagine doing anything else. And so
Wow.
for 2 years, I got to work with him and the other partners at the firm and got to see what they did, how they did it, how words have meaning, how rules have purpose, and how to actually protect and advocate for your clients, not just in the courtroom, outside the courtroom, and to maybe affect change so that the things that happen to our clients don't happen to other people in the future. And as I got that level of inspiration from these high caliber lawyers, I just thought I can't imagine doing anything else for the rest of my life. And that's how it's been.
Yeah, that's great. Loyola's in New Orleans, right?
So there's a bunch of Loyolas. This
Okay.
Loyola I went to is in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So you stayed and you grew up in Los Angeles.
I
Or
did
in,
since I was 8 years old.
wow,
Yeah.
very cool. Okay. So you
Yeah.
stayed.
Words have meaning. Can you imagine? From now we're looking at Trump versus Biden, and words have meaning. What a It's just ironic,
Isn't it
America.
amazing?
Can we go back to the money, Rahul? Can we go back
Sure.
to the
The
awards? I want to
settlement.
understand. No, I want to understand. When you do these eight-figure, nine-figure, and billion-dollar awards, um, I'm assuming these are not a week. These are months or years of work. And what is the like? What percentage do the lawyers make? Can you just walk me through the money behind the law?
Yeah, so it really depends on the cases, but the way it works is for everything that we do it as a contingency law firm. What that means is we don't get paid per hour, we get paid perhaps, and we need to win. And if we don't win, we advance all the costs on behalf of our clients. And you can imagine in high stakes litigation, that's a lot of money. And so if we lose, then we're out all of the money that we put into the case and all of the attorney time and everything else associated with that.
You
And
take all
that's
the
the
risk.
all the risk, 100% of it. And the goal is really to try and get high caliber lawyers that are willing to A, take on the risk, and B, take on the responsibility of doing effectively a David versus Goliath type of circumstance. I don't get the luxury, and we don't get the luxury of having 900 lawyers going up against all of the big firms, right? So you got little old us, but we feel that we have the ability to equalize the playing field so that we can actually obtain justice for our clients who just don't have the ability to pay for those big firm lawyers.
Yeah. I have a follow-up, Sabrina, on that. I want to
Yeah.
know how you feel when you actually don't win a case. You've put in 6 months or a year of your life, days and nights, many hours, lots of resources, and the verdict comes out and you've lost. I'm sure it's happened. How did you feel when that happened?
Awful, awful. And it's been one of those things where everybody tries to rationalize things, right? Because it's the only way to get through dire circumstances. And so I can spend a lot of time rationalizing it and saying, well, you learn more from your losses than you do your wins and all of that stuff. But you know what? I can tell you every single minute of those trials when I lost, and that was 17 years ago. So a loss doesn't, it's never erased from my mind. It's a constant reminder that if there's anything I can do, I need to make sure I don't lose. And I have a whole lot more at stake than just the way I sleep at night. My clients, their lives really depend on it. And so that's what hurts the most with any loss is that whether I failed my client or not, that's to be judged at some later point. But I feel like I tried my best. I felt like I could win it, and I didn't. And so I've got to keep reliving that in my mind to understand why and maybe how do I avoid that ever in the future.
Mm. Was your
So,
was your
yeah, go
first
ahead.
case a memorable one? The first
Yes,
case you ever took on?
It was very memorable. So my first case, not that I took on, but that I went to trial on, I was a 6 month lawyer. And one of the partners at the firm, he said, "Hey, Rahul, you're going to come and go try this case with me." And he gave me the facts of the case, and then I started getting invested in it. And I started to scratch my head. And I go, "This is not an easy case." And he goes, "Yeah, look, here's what happened. We had a really, really big case that a lawyer brought us in on. And with that big case, he said, you also need to work on this one."
Hmm.
So we took this one on too, and we got to get through it. So here's the facts of the case. 18-year-old young man is picking up his mom, who works at a floral shop. And this is the 405 freeway. And he was getting on the 405 freeway from the 210 junction. And if you know a little bit about LA, it's a big, big junction, and they actually have a truck bypass. So all the big rigs go on a bypass road, and all the regular traffic goes in all the other lanes. The 18-year-old decided, I'm just going to take the truck bypass. And as he does, as he says it, there was a truck parked on the side of the road, and it pulled into the lane of traffic, and he rear-ended the truck. Practically speaking, he rear-ended an 18-wheeler truck,
Yeah.
and then his mom suffered injuries and fractured both her knees. And that was the case against the trucking company.
That's a
So,
tough one.
right, right. So I think the judge felt the same way, and he was very, very mean. Very mean.
This is how you
Every
start your
day.
career.
Oh, started my career. I was like, this is what trials like. Yelled at me every day, yelled at my boss every day. And any chance we had, he would just try to make life difficult for us. To the extent that, the partner finally says, "Hey, Your Honor, Mr. Ravipudi, this is his first trial, and he's going to be putting on his first witness today." And the judge's like, "Oh, this is so great. You're going to have a great time. Good luck to you." And then proceeded to sustain every single objection he could on stupid stuff. So much to the point where I leaned over to my partner, my boss. I said, "What am I supposed to do?" He goes, "I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do." So I navigated through it. I got to the finish line on the testimony. And then at a break, the judge just started yelling at me and said, "You think I was going to let you let in that evidence? Under no circumstances was that going to happen. I still got it in, but that was what we were going against." And so I'd call my office every day, and I'd say, they go, "How's it going?" I go, "I don't think it's going very good, but I really don't like this either. This is no fun. This is just no fun." So the jury was out for 10 minutes, and it was a defense verdict. And that was 24 years ago. So it's when you're talking about how do I remember these things? I remember it like it was yesterday that happened. And I thought, well, this is a really short career because I just don't like this. And I can't imagine having to wake up every day to get attacked and have somebody put their thumb on the scale of justice and have the outcome determined for me. I'm
It's
not
like
saying
they
Sorry,
my
when you
case
say
somehow
the
was a
deep,
winner,
hazing you.
but
It's like they were hazing you for being, the rookie in the courtroom.
totally.
I didn't get the when you said the defense won. Were you
I
the
lost.
defense? You
No,
lost.
I was the plaintiff, always the
You were
plaintiff,
the
and I
plaintiff.
represented the mom who was in that vehicle.
Got it.
And, I didn't think it was an easy case. Probably didn't even think it was, I had to do the best for my client.
Sure,
It's not a winnable case, but I don't need the judge telling me that I'm not going to win the case. Let the jury just decide that.
but why didn't the mom just sue her son? I mean, rather than
Yeah, so
rather
there's
than-
no, that's a great
I mean,
question. So
if you're gonna
there's
blame
insurance
somebody,
issues
you know
with
where the
that.
blame is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speaking of that, I did look up, I was curious because, we're such a litigious country. Um, but I was doing some research and we are not the most litigious country. Germany is. And on the list, we're number 5.
So
Interesting.
who else is above us? You got
Germany, I
Germany.
want to say Oh, I have it right here. I'll tell you in a second. Keep talk. Ask him the next question, and then I'll find the answer for you guys.
I'm happy to wait, Sabrina. I went through your website, and there's like a list that goes down 2 pages of awards. I mean, I didn't even know they gave awards to lawyers, but the amount of awards that were on your website was like a little bit long for my liking. Is there any award that actually like means more than the others? Is there anyone that you're proud of? Like, is there like an Oscar equivalent?
Um, you know, I'd say that one of the largest plaintiff trial lawyer organizations in the country is called the Consumer Attorneys Association of Los Angeles, and CALA for short. And when I was a baby lawyer, I got to see every year they give the Trial Lawyer of the Year award to one lawyer. And that lawyer is one of thousands of lawyers that are part of the organization. And it's always been something where you just look and go, that is amazing. And that lawyer is amazing. I hope I get to meet those people someday. And then in 2017, I actually won that award for a verdict I got in Nevada on behalf of a individual beaten up by security at a nightclub. And just the fact that I could even stand a chance of winning that award and then actually winning it, that to your question of what feels like an
Yep,
Oscar moment, it's definitely that one.
That's
it's
cool.
awesome.
That was one of your biggest settlements, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was probably is still my largest verdict that I've gotten.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us about that or one of your
Sure.
most
No,
um
I want to know the biggest financial reward. That's what I want to know.
Hmm.
Biggest payback.
Well, I mean, when I was a young lawyer, after I got that fantastic defense verdict back in 2000, I was assigned to work on a case, a very complicated case. But back in 2000, 2001, California actually went through what was called an energy crisis, where the cost of electricity went through the roof. And it turns out, and what we were hired to do on behalf of the city of LA and a number of people, and it became a class action, was to bring a lawsuit against two different utility companies,
mm,
Sempra Energy and El Paso Natural Gas. And the allegations were that both of them conspired to monopolize the supply of natural gas into the state of California, and through that constricted the supply. And because the supply of natural gas was constricted, the cost of creating electricity went through the roof. And so they created the California energy crisis. And so that ended up being a case I spent about 5 years on. Took the depositions of the CEO of Sempra Energy and everybody down, countless expert depositions where these big firms with unlimited resources representing these enormous companies just had the ability to defend it and put probably, I think, over $100 million into the defense of the case. And ultimately, it went to trial. And 6 weeks into trial, the case settled. And it settled in total for about $3.6 billion. So that is money that went mainly to all of the ratepayers in the state of California. So basically, any adult who pays an electricity bill, um, along with a number of government entities, got significant recoveries in those as well.
that's
I would
huge.
have retired after that with my fee, even if it's 1%. I would have said thank you.
Well, so that's the amazing thing about what we get to do. And this is part of my lifelong philosophy. Anybody who does this career for the money is not going to last very long. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing and what you want to accomplish and the real heart of why you want to accomplish the result you want, you're not getting it. And then, so I always see whatever the financial reward is, whatever the compensation is, is more of a afterthought as much as it is a primary thought. Doing the right
Sure.
thing for the right reasons is the only way you could have the stamina to do this, and the only way you'd actually be able to get to the finish line on any case.
Yeah.
Sabrina, you were a lawyer as well, right?
I mean, I am a lawyer, I just don't
Sorry.
practice. Yeah. I didn't go down that road.
No,
Sorry,
I
touchy
mean,
subject, touchy subject. All right, let's move on a little bit. Rahul, I wanted to ask you. I was watching or listening to a podcast, and they said that AI is affecting a lot of industries, marketing being probably the number one. But then there's a lot of lawyers that are being affected by AI. I'm not sure how. Apparently, they're using these large language models to write a lot of the note taking, and they have all the cases and all the background information. Are you using AI currently? Do you think it's going to affect your industry? And if you use it, should you quote your sources and what you used AI versus what you did yourself while practicing?
a great question. So AI is, I think we're just scratching the surface on what its potential is and its impact in the legal industry. And I'll take a subset of it, which is litigation and civil litigation, which is what I focus on. So it may have different ramifications in contract work, mergers and acquisitions, immigration work, other things. But focusing just on civil litigation, um, I'm exploring all of the different uses of it, and I think it's going to have a tremendous positive impact. Um, just by way of example, one of the things that we as lawyers do is we have to just review a lot of documents. In any injury case, for example, there could be thousands and thousands of pages of medical records, and I can manually review that, which I do. But AI, and there's a number of different platforms that are being developed that actually do medical record review and summary in a way where it'll automatically summarize the records. It'll understand what the key issues are that we're looking for. And then it'll have hyperlinks to the records. So you don't just have to rely on AI and say, well, the AI document says the record says this. I can look at it myself. And so that might be an expedited way to distill through thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and still be up to speed. You hire medical experts who have to do the same thing, and they go through those medical. So there's a lot of redundancy that happens in the world of litigation, and I think AI can hopefully lessen some of that redundancy and make it more efficient. Then you've got other concepts. Some expensive parts of litigation are sometimes doing what we call demonstrative evidence, illustrations and animations. How did that collision occur? You can close your eyes and listen to somebody tell you how it occurred. You can hear an accident reconstructionist go, okay, this vehicle was going X feet per second, and the other one was going this many feet per second. And there was a delta V of whatever. You know, maybe that makes some sense to some people. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense to others. But taking all of that information and then creating an animation of it, that brings that incident to life. And once you start to see it, then jurors and other folks actually start to understand the circumstances a lot clearer. That's expensive. I think there's AI that will be developed in the near future that'll actually be able to make it less expensive, and something that's more usable for people on all spectrums of cases, not just the very high exposure cases. Then you've got I think what you were referring to, which is that I have to do a lot of motion work where I have to file briefs with the court. And if AI can just go ahead and write that brief for me, wow, how nice would that be? But we know that lawyers are getting sanctioned across the country right now because they are doing that. They're taking AI and saying, I need to argue this. Manufactured case law, which is not even true or accurate, gets put into the brief, and then they file it in the court. First, there's easy solutions to that. If you're going to be that lazy and have a computer go ahead and do your work for you, first, don't have it pull everything off of the internet. You can't believe everything that's on the internet. And that's what's being scrubbed when AI is actually putting together something through
Yeah.
ChatGPT, right? So it's garbage in, garbage out. Second, I can actually drag and drop any brief into an actual certified site. It's a fee for service, but it'll actually site check everything. So if there's an improper site, it'll actually identify it. So not only were you so lazy that you didn't want to write your own brief, but then you were extra lazy that you didn't even want to drag and drop it into something that would
Wow.
site check it for you.
Yeah.
And then you put that punishment on a judge, a public servant, who is trying to do their best, and now they have to waste their time reviewing something that you didn't put the effort to actually confirm was accurate. I can see why sanctions get put and levied on lawyers who put themselves in that position. But at some point in time, AI will actually provide value even on that brief writing. I don't see it right now, but I do see some benefit there. And I'm working with different companies, deposition service companies, to actually develop our own firm's AI that could be productive for off data sets that I think are valuable, which are my firm's data set, because I know the quality of the lawyers in my firm and I know the
Yeah.
quality of the work product. And so there's no garbage going in. Now it's just how do I figure out how to get valuable information out of it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Got it.
Um, Two things. One, I'll answer your question. The five most litigious countries by capita: Germany, Sweden, Israel, Austria, and then the United States. Found that interesting.
Interesting.
And then, yeah,
Israel.
very interesting. And then yeah, I was shocked about Israel too. Um, Number two, I don't know where you are in the process with, you recently took on a case involving social media algorithms. Is that correct? Are
Yeah.
you able to discuss that one?
Well, I mean, the cases are pending right now
Okay.
in California. One's in the federal court, and one is in LA Superior Court because all the defendants are here. So there are thousands and tens of thousands of cases that have been brought. Um, I can't really publicly talk about
Okay.
anything other than what's in the record, but I will just kind of take a step back. And as a parent, I've got three boys, 18, 15 on Saturday, and 12. And my two older boys, they have their own cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anybody who's a parent who would recognize that the youth with Snapchat, Instagram, and the TikTok, those things corrupt their minds. And it's an absolute shame that the platforms have the ability to do that. And so, um, if the lawsuits are there to actually fix the problem,
Okay.
and I think that everybody knows that there is a problem, and anybody who thinks otherwise um, has their head in the sand.
What,
Yeah.
what's the solution? I mean, age gating is one thing that people are saying. Just like cigarettes and alcohol, whether it's 16 or 21, that's one solution. Now we're waiting for the U.S. government to decide if they're going to ban TikTok. It shouldn't just be TikTok, but anyway, because of the Chinese, propaganda and that, that argument. What's your thoughts on TikTok, and what is the solution for social media as a parent, not as a lawyer?
Yeah, so again, not speaking in my legal capacity, but
Sure.
as a
Hmm.
parent,
Yeah.
it- this is the way that I see things. I think that all of those social media platforms actually know what the solution is. And there were decisions made that there's a significant profit making mechanism that is developed and resulting from actually encouraging the youth to get addicted to social media. It's kind of from the same old big tobacco playbook, right? Hook them early and you've got a customer for life. And so with big tobacco, they would market to children,
Hmm.
get kids addicted to nicotine, and then you've now got a lifelong smoker, a lifelong customer. And we all know, and it's well established, that adult minds are fully developed and children's minds are not. It's
Right.
easier to get addicted as a youth than it is as an adult. And so the social media companies know how to develop the platforms, maintain the platforms in a way that doesn't create these dopamine hits for these kids,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get them addicted, and they chose to do it in a way which they knew would do exactly that. So I think the solutions are endless, and there are all sorts of opportunities to protect kids. What the end game and how that's all going to play out, that's a little bit TBD. Whether it's the government comes in and just shuts it all down, or whether there's something lesser that can be done. But I do think that these social media platforms, they have a little bit of their destiny in their own hands.
Sorry, Rahul, I'm gonna dig in a bit more. I didn't hear a solution. I mean, one thing you mentioned was potential government banning, but then obviously the other side is the whole freedom of speech argument, which Elon Musk and his, let's just say, Republican friends would go against. Are you saying age gating is a solution, or I mean, or should the solution be up to the parents? Like you said, your 12-year-old doesn't have a phone, so you are age gating him in that way.
Yeah. So here's and now this is both two things. As a lawyer, my only solution is to go litigate the cases, and the only thing I can obtain is monetary compensation.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the federal government who's starting to intervene, and what they have the ability to do is either shut down, limit, or otherwise legislate against the
Yeah.
practices to protect children. I think the federal government should intervene and should be doing things. Um, but my point though is that my belief is that all of these social media platforms actually have the answers and are not sharing that. So what the solution ultimately is going to be and which ones are going to work is TBD. That
Got it.
exceeds my intelligence level right now.
Sure. I like what they've done. I don't know if I like it, but it's interesting what they've done in China, right? Where they've limited gaming to only weekends and like 3 hours a day, and only for above the age of, I don't know if it's 12 or 16. I don't know the details, but the government can go in and actually tell the gaming company and the platform, hey, if this guy is over 15 and he does it on Monday to Friday, you're going to be fined. So it's like,
That happens
I
in
don't know how
my
they can.
house.
Yeah, well,
It's regulated by me.
Yeah. I finally figured out how to use my Wi-Fi so that I can cut off Wi-Fi to certain devices in the house. So
yeah.
I know when the kids want to hang out with me, it's when I cut off the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's
What
fun.
age? What age did the 15 and the 18-year-old get their cell phones from? Because Sabrina's got a 10-year-old, I've got a 9-year-old. So it's a question we want to know.
So my 15-year-old got 13 for both of them.
13.
13.
Yeah. And if it could be longer, I would recommend to anybody, as
Yeah.
long as you can wait, the better.
Yeah. And, I agree with you because she's the one that thinks everything on the internet is true. Recently she told me a story that it wasn't actually the Titanic that's sunk. It was a different ship. And I just looked at her and I said, I don't even want to talk to you right now. I just
Amazing.
don't even.
Amazing.
My son's asked me for a PlayStation every Christmas. He go, my friends have it. My friends have it. I'm like, you know, maybe when you're 12, 13, we'll have the conversation. But right now he's 9. It's not happening.
Oh man, video games are the best. I loved them as a kid and still love them now.
There's an addiction
Guilty
there.
pleasure. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
That's dopamine on a different level. um, we ask all our guests, I was going to say clients. We ask all our clients, we ask all our guests what success means to them. And we'd love to know what success means to you personally, professionally, whatever, however you define it.
So professionally, success to me is where I can actually have an impact on others. So success on a single case brings great joy to me because I get to see that I've done something to help my clients. Taking it the next step further, success on a lot of my cases means that I've actually led to a change in industry standards or legislation.
Mhm.
I've worked with the state of California to get multiple laws put into place to help protect children. We've had our firm has been successful in changing the trucking industry and a number of different industries um, uh, as a result of the outcomes of some of the tragedies we've represented clients in. So, actually knowing that what we're doing leads to some level of increased safety and prevention for the future gives me incredible joy. Knowing that what I do and what I also do is I teach over at Loyola Law School and I teach other lawyers and law students. I want to increase both diversity in the practice of law, but also teach lawyers and raise the bar for everybody. So, whatever I learn, whatever skill set I've developed, it's not something I intend to be a trade secret just for me to enjoy.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that every lawyer who does work on behalf of plaintiffs and wants to help their clients, that I can hopefully impart some knowledge, some tools that can make them better lawyers. And I love hearing from any of them when they reach out to me and say that hey Rahul, I did some of the things that you taught in a seminar or that you talked to me about, and it got a great outcome. That brings me incredible joy.
That's fantastic.
And the last thing, and I'll just say for everything stems from the kids too, right? And whether we have a good impact on our kids. And my wife, she is such an accomplished person. She's the CEO over at USC's healthcare system and has been in healthcare her whole professional life. And I still remember this time where we were in the car and the kids were littler, and Smitha said, "Hey, kids, do you know what mom and dad do for a living?" And one of them goes, "Yeah, I know what you guys do. Mom works at a hospital and dad helps people." And I thought that was so awesome. Granted, Smitha, of course, helps so many people,
Yeah.
but they understood at least what my purpose is in doing the profession that
That's
I've
cool.
chosen to do. And it's really to just help people. And so having that impact even on my kids is there's no measure of success for that.
We
And
actually wanted to get Smita on the podcast, but we ended up with you instead. So
Oh man, it's always I'm the backup
when
plan.
people think of personal injury attorneys, a lot of people don't have, a good image of them. It's that the cheesy marketing, advertising, things like that. But, you're exactly the opposite. And that's what people need to know about personal injury attorneys. Can you tell us a little bit about the Paul Lee case and the
Yeah.
the bus law change? Because I feel like that also, what you did there represents a lot about your morals and who you are.
Yeah, so Paul Lee, he was a 19-year-old nonverbal autistic boy, and he was in high school. And what ended up happening, his mom would and dad would take care of him. There was never any loss of custody over him in the sense that he was cared for at home, and the expectation was that he would be cared for at school. And so they had a busing service that would take him to school each day and bring him home. And I'll tell you, Paul's parents, the sweetest people, and they loved him so much. So much. The dad, he didn't talk too much. It wasn't like he was outwardly emotive, but the way he described Paul was that he was their universe and that their lives revolved around him and they loved it, and it was their joy to have him in their life, and he would smile and play with them, and he was just a special young man. Because he was nonverbal, he didn't do anything and he didn't say anything, And so on this one day, a hot September day, bus driver picks him up. There's two other kids in the bus, all special needs kids. And when the bus driver gets to the school, the two students with less developmental delays and verbal students jumped off the bus. As the bus driver dropped off, opened up the doors, there was nobody to receive Paul at that moment. Bus driver gets a text from his mistress, and his mistress says, "Hey, come on over to the house." And so the bus driver got excited, drives the bus, closes the door, takes the bus to the bus parking lot, stops it, runs out. The end. Unbeknownst to the driver, unbeknownst to everybody, Paul was still in that bus. And it was over 100 degrees that day. And because he's nonverbal, he didn't try to get out of the bus. He just sat there and was a prisoner of that hot bus and ultimately died of hyperthermia. And so the case was against the bus company, and the bus company and this driver went to jail and was convicted for killing Paul. And what ended up happening is the mom didn't want this to happen to anybody else. And through this case, we learned a lot that kids are left on buses a lot all over the country.
Really?
And yeah, and sometimes it's intentionally in the sense that the kid doesn't want to go to school, doesn't want to get out of the bus for the field trip. And so state law, and almost every state law, requires that bus drivers need to scan the whole bus before they leave the bus. Because if there's a kid hiding below, if there's a kid that fell asleep on a long ride, whatever it is, you can't just look in your rearview mirror and then think everything looks empty and get off the bus. It's dangerous for those kids. And so here in California, it's called the Paul Lee Bus Safety Act that we helped get put in and approved by the governor. Once a bus driver turns off their vehicle, an alarm goes off. And that alarm requires that the bus driver go all the way to the back of the bus and manually disengage that alarm. What does that do? That then forces that bus driver, whether they wanted to or not, to see if there's any other students or kids left in the vehicle before actually leaving it. And so this law now put all of these alarms in every single bus that transports children in the state of California. And from that, it's been implemented across the country in other states.
Wow.
And so it's definitely made students safer here in California and students safer all across the country.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story.
Sabrina,
No.
thank you for asking that question. I was in a happy mood until I heard that story, but it's really sad. And now my son takes a school bus every day, and I'm pretty sure in Chile they don't have that law or that alarm going off at the back of the bus. But yeah, it's very, very sad, and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, sad things happen all the
Yeah.
time. It's what are we going to do about it?
Yeah,
And when you see it, and then you actually get to reach out and you see that these ideas exist and these safety measures exist, this is our opportunity to then reach out to our own communities and say, what are you doing about it? We
Yeah.
all pay taxes. We all have government officials. We all have corporations and who want to make money more than they and make profits. But sometimes you got to eat into your profits to make the world safer.
Yeah.
And so I think us as a community, us as individuals, we actually do have a voice. What we do need is the information, and these significant outcomes that happen on cases, they create the information so that individuals and other members in the industry can actually start to do the right thing.
Yeah. Curious, what was the bus driver charged with? Voluntary manslaughter? Or
Yeah, manslaughter. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a felony.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad,
did the mistress also get something?
No,
the
no.
mistress. God.
I mean,
This is such a
Unbelievable,
silly
it
right?
was
story.
her fault. That's what got him excited and got him to leave the bus without checking. Sorry, not a. I apologize. Not the right time for a joke. Um, Rahul, I'm gonna go into the rapid fire question. We're
Ready.
gonna just ask some questions, and whatever comes at the top of your mind, feel free to shoot. Sabrina, I'll start.
Go for it.
Okay. Um, what's the most realistic TV series out there in law? I loved particularly Damages and The Good Wife, but is law really more like, I don't know, Suits or Boston Legal? What's your favorite show? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man, I'll
I
tell
loved
you,
all.
I love Suits. By the way, I think that is
Yeah,
such a fun show.
you're
But
Harvey.
yeah, I binge watched it for a little while, and it actually made me dumber as a lawyer. So I don't think that is that falls in the most realistic category. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of other than I told you about my fishing without a license convictions, but Law and Order, those seem to be kind of on point and on a criminal setting.
Oh yeah.
Boston
This
Legal, by the way,
this
Boston
is my
Legal is one of my top 10 shows.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you.
favorite. I
It's my
tell my
level of dumbness.
I tell my husband that next year I'm going to have my daughter start watching Law and Order SVU with me, so she could be aware of everything around her. Do not
Oh,
trust
definitely.
anyone.
Definitely. Oh man, I couldn't sleep at night after watching some of those episodes.
Oh my gosh! And lately it's been oh, don't get me started. My favorite TV show, definitely. So speaking of that, what is your favorite TV show?
I love watching. What am I watching right now? Um,
The Bachelor.
well, my favorite movie's The Lion King. I love it. I've watched it over 100 times,
Oh,
and my kids know I love it.
that's awesome.
So I'll watch Disney shows with my youngest, and then I would. There's these Harlan Corbin mystery shows that my wife and
Mhm.
I have been watching. It's easy watching, but I am more of a BTV type of person, so I wouldn't rely on me for quality recommendations for any TV show.
Are you a reader? Do you read a lot?
I used to read a lot, but now it's all work related stuff. So anything that I'm
I
reading
figured.
right now is
Yeah.
After
not.
reading so much for work, the last thing you want to do
Yeah.
is read. Sorry, Sabrina, that wasn't my question. My turn. Dinner date. If you were to have dinner with a celebrity, uh, not romantic, just a dinner to get to know somebody, alive or dead, who would you like to have that opportunity with?
Ooh, a celebrity dinner date.
Could be
Not
Gandhi,
romantic, obviously.
Obama, could be anybody, anyone who you are inspired by.
I mean, I would, I still like to have fun. So I think right now, at this moment, I would say it would be so fun to have dinner with Taylor Swift. I'm a big Swiftie.
Oh,
So, I mean,
Sabrina's favorite.
so much, so much. We went and saw her in Las Vegas. I had the best time. I just
wasn't
turned
it great?
50. Yeah. Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. She's just an amazing entertainer. And I'm not attracted to her. I just think she's just one of the best
Yeah,
on
she's so talented.
so many different levels. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Talented, hardworking, puts on a great show.
Sabrina,
Amazing.
Rahul's reminding me a lot about you.
I know. There was something else
It's
you
a
said.
lawyer thing, I think.
Yeah,
So
I think so. There's something else you just said, and I was like, oh, me too. I don't remember. Oh, Lion King. My husband, that's his favorite Disney movie.
it's the best.
Yeah.
The
Sabrina,
best.
Lion King is everybody's favorite Disney movie.
It's not my favorite Disney movie.
What is it? Aladdin?
Yeah.
That's a good one
See what I
too.
mean? It's 50-50. Those are the top two. Sabrina, your turn.
What worries you most days or keeps you up at night? One a
You just
issue
said the
or
TV show.
topic. The TV show.
Watching legal TV shows keeps him up at night, Sabrina.
Is
No,
it,
just my
um,
kids.
your
It's
kids?
simple. Yeah, my kids. Just making sure that we, you know, Monday morning quarterback everything. Did we make the right decisions in how we engaged in a conversation on this? Are we pushing in the right places? My boys, there are three totally different boys.
Mhm.
My oldest has some learning delays, and so we accommodate and encourage him in different ways than we do our middle son, who is very pointed in how he communicates with us, versus our youngest, who's more touchy feely. And so every kid thinks that we prefer the other one and are favoring one over the other. But really, we just want them to be the best versions of themselves. And
Yeah.
it ain't easy as a parent to actually accomplish what you want. So,
I have three boys as well, Rahul. So I hear you. What do you
Do
do when
any
you
of
don't
them?
like who they bring home? Like, girlfriend wise. Like, if you don't like their date, do you tell them or do you keep quiet?
well, so I mean, the good news for me right now is I haven't had to worry about that just yet. So everything's been good on that front. But I have been mentally preparing myself for how I'm going to engage with both that person
Oh
and my
my
son
goodness.
when that day
That's
comes. And I'm
worse.
not, it's
They're
not
doing it on
ready.
the down low.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If that's happening. See, thanks. Now I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah, I know. Now you're going to get hack into their social media accounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Do any of them want to follow in your footsteps, become an
I
attorney?
I think maybe, but we don't really have that talk. We just keep talking about keeping all their options open and
Okay.
being passionate about what they do. But I think my middle kid might want to do it, and my youngest seems to be interested in the business of law. So that's a little bit different, um, but yeah, I have a feeling maybe 50-50 one of them gets into the legal career in some way,
Okay.
shape, or form. Yeah.
Very cool.
What if it's on the other side?
I'm okay with that. My best friend is a big firm defense lawyer, and I have a lot of friends who are on the other side of the V. It's not my mindset to be adversarial for the purposes of being adversarial. We're adversaries. We're advocates for our clients, but that doesn't mean we have to hit below the belt and then become mortal enemies.
Yeah.
So there's good human beings on the other side of the V, and if that's what he chose to do, I wish him the best. I just hope he doesn't go against me.
Yeah. Your turn or my turn? I don't know.
Um,
We always try to
I,
make this a
I
rapid
don't know.
fire
I think
instead of a
it
long
never
conversation.
works. I want to know your thoughts on Vivek Ramaswamy and if you think he'd be a good VP for Trump. Or if you
I
don't want to
am not
answer,
a
you can just tell
fan.
me.
I'm not a fan.
Sabrina is just
But
like
I
you.
don't
I
know him
told you.
personally. I've watched the debates, and that's not anything that I stand for. So it's
Ditto.
very, and I'm not voting for Trump. I don't like Trump either, and I'm try my hardest to live by the understanding that, you know, I bet you have more in common with people you don't know than you don't. And
Yeah.
maybe there's 90% of us, 90% of the things we have in common, and that small percentage that we don't, maybe is what you see at the surface. I'm just not seeing it with those guys. I just don't feel like I can relate to what they're saying, the message they're trying to deliver, and the divisiveness that they're trying to perpetuate.
Agree. Mhm.
And if they didn't do that, maybe there's some things that I might hear and agree with, but I can't even get myself to listen.
Yeah. I'm
Wow.
right there with you.
I'm like talking to Sabrina.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Can I do a last one, Sabrina?
Yeah. I have one after you.
No, go for it.
Okay. I wanted to know, what do you do for fun?
For fun, I love to play with the kids. So I don't have a lot of hobbies. My
No.
favorite thing to do is practice law and to spend time with my wife and my kids and my family. So whatever they like to do, I'm on board with. I love
Cool.
to try different restaurants and eat different food, but all in all, most of my hobbies have gone kind of by the wayside other than exercising, practicing law, and spending time with the family. I'm the most boring person alive.
I don't
Rahul,
get
you're
that at
just like
all.
Sabrina. Rahul, you're just like Sabrina. Sorry, just kidding. Um, okay, last one. Um,
It's
Sabrina
always
and
the
I
hard
gave.
hitting one. You're excited to make it the last one, so I know this is going to be
I know. Let's see.
a
I'm
mic
curious too.
drop.
Well,
Okay, pressure's on.
Sabrina and I have bought a bulletin board in Times Square,
Billboard, a billboard.
billboard in
Yeah.
Times Square, the top one, just below the Coca-Cola logo. And we've lit it up all year. We've paid for it up front, and we've given you the paintbrush. What would you write? What would you draw? What's the legacy?
What's the legacy on a billboard?
What would represent you? You know, like Nike would just do it. What would you say? What would you do? What are your words?
Hmm.
That's why it's the last one.
What would be well, so I would hope that
Other than
uh
words have meaning.
yeah, I mean, I think empathy would be one of the things that I would love to see, the message that would resonate, and that everybody actually not think about themselves and think about what life is like for others. And if everybody was a little bit more empathetic, I think the world would be a much happier place. What the words would say or how we'd actually message that on a billboard, I've spent my whole life making sure I'm not on any billboards, so it just never really occurred to me to think that way. But a nice heart and some empathy messaging would be the most wonderful thing.
I like this guy.
Huh?
I find it a compliment that you're saying we're a lot alike.
That's what I'm not liking about him. He's not having too much of you. That's what's rubbing me the wrong way. And I hope to meet soon, Rahul. I'm going to meet Shilpa and Amit soon in Miami when they have their first baby,
I
and
can't
hopefully then we'll have a
wait.
family reunion. Yeah, that'll be
Oh, I'm
exciting.
looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing, and their
Yeah,
baby's going to be beautiful.
so hopefully we'll meet. I plan to go in June, July to America, and hopefully we'll definitely meet in person soon enough.
Oh, I'm
Thank
looking
you again for
forward to it.
doing this. It's good to finally put a face and get to know you a little bit better, and really like what you said today, and wish you the best of luck, and you hope you keep crushing it in whatever you do.
Thank you. It was a pleasure spending time with you, and thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. So nice getting to know you, and congratulations on all your personal, professional success. And I look forward to hearing more about what's to come in the future. So, everyone, this has been another episode of Indian Explorers. And if you enjoyed it, which I'm sure you did, please hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Thank you, everyone.